Discovered, an incredible Cleaner-S song helped him sleep after 25 years, a life-changing moment. Jimmy Hart was just a janitor at Lincoln High, but on that rainy Tuesday afternoon, he was about to uncover a part of himself he thought was long buried. The sun had set and shadows stretched across the gritty urban neighborhood as he pushed his mop over the floors that knew more footprints than the average lifetime. The relentless hum of the fluorescent lights overhead was a constant reminder of the loneliness that clung to him like the dust he swept away. For a man who had once marched in uniform, the irony always stung. He had dreams, ambitions, but the world saw only the janitor. 50 cents here, $1 there, it all added up. But the weight of his responsibilities had crushed his dreams into invisible fragments. And the nights? Oh, those sleepless nights were haunted by ghosts of the past, nagging memories that danced in shadows and demanded his attention. One evening, while sifting through the remnants of his life in the attic, he stumbled upon an old cassette tape, his mother's voice calling him back through the decades. The soulful melodies of Sam Cooke poured out, filling the stale air with warmth and nostalgia. As he hummed along, the music flowed through him like a soothing balm for the fractured pieces of his heart. Each note was a reminder that life wasn't entirely devoid of beauty, it was a flicker of hope that threatened to illuminate his darkened path. But just as Jimmy's dreams began to stir, he learned the school's music program was on the chopping block. Budget cuts were looming like dark clouds ready to break. His heart sank at the thought of the kids losing their haven. Music had given them hope, a sanctuary from the suffocating reality of their neighborhood. Determined to do something, that flicker in him grew into a flame. The day of the community meeting arrived, and whispers reverberated in the crowd. Parents, teachers, and students filled the room, all ready to save a piece of themselves. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As Jimmy found himself standing at the edge of the stage, his heart pounded in his chest. The spotlight was warm, and the air was charged with anticipation. He couldn't shake the nervous tremor in his hands. But something deeper propelled him forward, a longing to be seen as more than just a cleaner. He inhaled deeply and, for the first time in what felt like forever, he opened his mouth. His voice came out strong and pure, every note resonating with his struggles, his sacrifices, and his love for his family. The room fell into a reverent silence as he sang, not just for the kids or the program, but for himself. That night, they didn't just hear a janitor, they heard Jimmy. And for a moment, all the judgments faded away, replaced by a shared understanding born from his heartfelt song. Would this flicker of recognition make a difference, not just for Jimmy but for the whole community? The applause erupted like thunder, ringing in Jimmy's ears. The kids at the front row were on their feet, clapping like mad. Their smiles were bright enough to cut through the gloom that had settled over his heart for so long. Parents exchanged surprised glances, teachers wiped tears away, and even the school board members seemed caught off guard by the emotion pouring from Jimmy's fervent performance. As he stepped down from the stage, the warmth of the spotlight faded, but the adrenaline still coursed through his veins. "I can't believe you did that," one of the students shouted, his eyes wide with admiration. Jimmy forced a smile back, the sting of emotions tumbling over him like waves. His heart swelled. He hadn't just shared a song, he'd revealed a piece of his soul, but that joy was short-lived. As the evening progressed, the reality of the school's music program being cut loomed heavily overhead. Jimmy felt the shift in energy, the anxious whispers of doubt and fear. They needed a plan, and time was running out. Stepping aside from the celebration, he gathered his thoughts. The vibrant song that had united them now felt like a fragile thread. "Hey!" he called to a group of students who had gathered near the exit. "I need your help." They turned, curious but eager. He spoke with urgency. We have to make everyone hear us. We can't let the music fade away. We need to show what this program means to all of us. Like a protest? One girl piped up, determination lighting her eyes. Exactly. Jimmy replied, feeling a spark reignite within him. Let us plan a concert. Invite everyone, families, friends, neighbors. We'll showcase our talent. We'll show them it's not just a program, it's our lifeline. Let us call it Voices for the Future. Another student chimed in. Within minutes, ideas buzzed around the small group. Flyers, social media posts, and organizing rehearsals. Their energy was infectious. Memories of things he had once dreamed of doing flickered in his mind, the camaraderie, the creativity. This wasn't just about him anymore, it was about giving the kids a chance to thrive. This was a moment of hope. All right, everyone. Jimmy raised his hands. We need to spread the word. The meeting is next week. Let us fill the auditorium. As he spoke, he glanced over the rising excitement on their faces and felt his own spirit rising alongside theirs. They were not just students and a janitor, they were a community, united by a common goal. But late at night, when the chatter faded and the lights dimmed, doubt crept in. What if it wasn't enough? What if the board had already made up their minds? Jimmy lay awake, memories of his own past echoing in the silence. After all, he had fought for something once before only to watch it slip away. The following week approached fast, like a timer counting down to an uncertain fate. He stood at the edge of a precipice, the stakes higher than ever. And just when he thought he couldn't bear the weight of it all alone, a familiar voice broke through the hazy doubt. I'm proud of you, said a voice behind him. It was Ms. Collins, the music teacher. She had been watching from the shadows, and her words had the power of a lifeline thrown into turbulent waters, but a new realization loomed larger than his fears. This concert was not just a fight for their music program, but for the heart of their community. And if they failed? What would that mean for all of them? The meeting was imminent, and Jimmy knew he had one more song left to sing. How would he turn their voices into a force strong enough to save their dreams? The week crawled forward, each day feeling longer than the last. The air was thick with anticipation, and the school hummed with whispers of the upcoming concert. Posters adorned the walls, and colorful flyers fluttered on every bulletin board. Voices for the Future became a rallying cry, uniting the students and teachers in a mission they all believed in. The days leading to the meeting, Jimmy found himself at the center of a storm of emotion. His heart swelled with hope one moment, only to be slammed by anxiety the next. He watched the students as they poured their energy into rehearsals. Even when they didn't hit the right notes, they laughed and encouraged one another. Their determination ignited something within him, a reminder that music was pure, a language of the heart that never failed to break down barriers. As Friday approached, Jimmy felt the weight of responsibility pressing down hard. He drifted through the hallways, feeling the buzz of excitement and anxiety around him. He could see the anxiety etched into the faces of other teachers and students. Everyone seemed to care deeply, but would it be enough? They needed more than just enthusiasm, they needed their voices to ring loud and clear. One afternoon, he found a moment to reflect. He sat in an empty classroom, guitar in hand. Strumming a few chords, he let his worries spill into the music. The sound reverberated off the walls, and for a moment, the world felt right again. With each note, he imagined the auditorium filled with people, his students standing on that stage, showcasing their talent. But the vision flickered as doubt surged. "Hey, it's gonna be okay," Ms. Collins said softly, sliding into the room. She leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. "You've gotten them this far." Jimmy sighed and ran a hand through his hair. What if it's not enough? What if the school board doesn't see what we see? Ms. Collins moved closer, her eyes steady. "You've helped them find their voice. This concert isn't just for the board, it's for them. It's a chance to shine." Her words ignited another wave of determination. It was true, this whole journey was about the kids, their dreams, their futures, and the community that supported them. They were worth fighting for. That evening, he gathered the students for one final rehearsal. The air crackled with energy as they stepped onto the stage. The dim lights cast a soft glow, transforming the space into their sanctuary. They sang louder than ever, pouring their spirits into each note. Jimmy's heart raced in time with the music, and he felt every worry slipping away. After a final song, they all huddled together, breathless and exhilarated. "Are you ready for this?" Jimmy asked, eyes glinting with fire. They nodded, a unified force brimming with resolve. As the countdown began, fingers trembled with excitement. They were on the brink of something monumental. But as the sun set, casting long shadows through the windows, a new silence fell. Would the strength of their voices truly be enough? That night, while the stars shimmered in the vast sky, Jimmy stood outside the school, staring at the building that had been both a sanctuary and a battlefield. Suddenly, he was struck by a thought. A memory of his childhood seeped into his mind, one last song that he'd written but never shared. A song about overcoming fear, about fighting for what one believes in. As he pulled out his guitar, fingers fretting against the strings, he wondered, could this be the anthem they needed? And through the strumming, he felt a sense of clarity. Maybe, just maybe, this was the moment they all were waiting for. What happened when the curtain lifted on their dreams? Would they rise to meet the challenge or fade into the darkness? The morning arrived with the sun stretching its arms across the horizon, spilling golden light into every corner of the school. Jimmy's stomach knotted with a mix of excitement and fear. Today was the day. He stepped into the auditorium, and the sights and sounds washed over him. Rows of empty seats loomed, waiting to be filled. The stage was set, microphones placed like soldiers standing at attention. He could already envision the students up there, pouring their hearts out, but the thought also sent a shiver down his spine. What if they faltered? What if their moment slipped through their fingers? As students began to gather backstage, there was a buzz of energy and laughter. They had transformed an empty room into a hive of preparation. Anxious glances were exchanged, but every time someone cracked a joke, it was as if a wave of confidence rolled through the group. He could see Mia adjusting her hair in the mirror, her eyes shining with a fierce determination. Sam was practicing his moves, breaking into spontaneous dance. Laughter erupted, and he felt a spark of hope. "All right, team," Jimmy called, stepping forward. The chatter faded, and all eyes turned to him. "Today is going to be special. Remember what this is all about: your voices, your stories. Let that shine through. Just be yourselves." They nodded, fire igniting in their hearts. Each student had poured so much into this. The practice, the rehearsals, the encouragement. It wasn't just music, it was their lifeblood, their chance to express everything they felt inside. The minutes ticked away, and soon they found themselves in a line, about to step onto the stage. The thrill of the moment lay thick in the air, mingling with nerves. Jimmy lingered at the back, giving each student a reassuring nod as they passed. Each smile held promise. Each determined step felt like history in the making. As the curtain slowly lifted, a rush of lights flooded the stage. The audience erupted in applause, and the students froze for a heartbeat, soaking in the warmth and support. Then, like a floodgate being opened, they began. The initial notes resonated through the hall, filling every space, every corner. Their voices melded together, a tapestry of sound that lifted higher and higher. The moment they harmonized perfectly, Jimmy felt his heart soar. Their performance was electric, each song telling a story, every note a step toward freedom. Jimmy caught sight of Ms. Collins in the front row, tears glistening in her eyes, a reflection of the passion and hope that filled the room. It reminded him why they fought so hard. The walls of the auditorium seemed to pulse with their energy. But just when the harmony reached its peak, his eyes flickered to a figure in the back. It was Mr. Harris, the cold, unyielding member of the school board who had always been skeptical. Doubt clouded his face, and Jimmy's heart dipped for a moment. Would they truly reach him? As the final chords echoed, a wave of silence fell over the auditorium, a pregnant pause before the explosion of applause. The students stood together, breathless and alive, soaking in the overwhelming love from the crowd, and suddenly, amid the cheers, Jimmy felt a rush of courage. Maybe it wasn't about convincing the board. Maybe it was about unveiling their truth, their music brightening their lives. Then he remembered his own song, the one he had kept hidden. What if this was the moment to share it? As the audience clapped, he took a deep breath, heart hammering, contemplating stepping forward and revealing the truth of his own fears and dreams. But what would it mean to expose himself like that, in front of everyone? He hesitated, the weight of his choice sitting heavy on his chest. Could he share his own anthem of hope? Would it resonate as powerfully as their performance just had? With the energy swirling around him, the question lingered like a whisper in the air. Would he step into the spotlight and reveal his heart? Or would he let this chance to transform slip away? The applause began to fade, but the joy in the air was palpable, a thread weaving through the fabric of the auditorium. Jimmy stood frozen, the spotlight warming his skin, heart racing with indecision. Every cheer, every shout felt like a wave crashing against him, urging him to take that step forward. His role as a leader felt heavier now. He had prepared everyone else to share their stories, to bare their souls, and yet here he was, gripping his own dreams tightly, afraid to let go. The music still rang in his ears, vibrant and compelling. "Do it," a voice inside him urged, louder than the crowd. It was a voice of truth, a whisper he had kept buried for too long. He looked to his students, their faces aglow with pride, and suddenly he knew. This wasn't just their moment. It was his, too. With a deep breath, he stepped from the shadows of the backstage into the gleaming light of the stage. The audience quieted, curiosity enveloping the room like a comforting blanket. All eyes were on him, and his chest tightened with a mix of nerves and elation. "Mia, Sam, everyone, I just wanted to say how proud I am of you all," he started, his voice steadying as he spoke. "This has been a journey for each of us, finding our voices and standing up to share them." They beamed at him, and at that moment, he felt like their story was lifting him up, too. He had been so focused on guiding others, he hadn't realized how much he wanted to be part of this. "But I need to share something as well," he continued. "I've been afraid to let my own dreams surface. For years, I kept my music hidden, thinking it wasn't good enough." Murmurs rippled through the crowd, and Jimmy's heart thundered in his chest. Would they understand? Would they accept him? "I wrote a song long ago. It reflects the moments of doubt and hope I've felt, much like the fears we all face." He paused, glancing at Mr. Harris at the back of the room. The man's guarded expression remained, but within Jimmy sparked a surge of resilience. "I want to share it with you all today. This isn't just my song, it's a reminder that sometimes we have to step out of the shadows to find our light." Sampling the energy swirling in the air, he stepped to the front of the stage, the microphone trembling slightly in his grip. The accompanying band began to play a soft introduction, and he closed his eyes for a moment. As he opened his mouth to sing, the first notes spilled out, tentative yet filled with emotion. The room fell into a hush, captivated by the rawness of his voice. Each lyric was stitched together with his struggles, yet also laced with hope and the promise of new beginnings. With every word, he felt the barriers within him shatter. The audience swayed, some nodding in rhythm, and he could feel their energy wrapping around him like a warm embrace. He was no longer just a leader, he was a part of this moment, a part of their shared story. The song came to a close, leaving a resonating silence before the crowd erupted into applause. Jimmy's heart soared. Overwhelmed with emotion, he caught sight of Miss Collins' tears once more, but this time they expressed joy and pride. But in the back, Mr. Harris still stood, his expression unreadable. As the applause thundered, Jimmy's gaze met his, and for a fleeting moment, he hoped to see a spark of understanding. Would this moment truly change things? Could he inspire those around him, including the skeptics? As the noise enveloped him, a feeling of possibility washed over Jimmy. Maybe, just maybe, this was only the beginning of a larger journey, one that would lead to even bigger questions and choices yet to unfold. In the aftermath of this electrifying performance, with hearts open and barriers broken, what would the next chapter reveal about dreams, courage, and community? The applause echoed, fading into a backdrop of soft murmurs and laughter. Jimmy stood there, heart fluttering, a mix of relief and exhilaration washing over him. For the first time, he felt a weight lift, shadows retreating, revealing colors he hadn't noticed in a long time. He looked out at the crowd, students still buzzing with excitement, their faces radiant with hope. Mia was bouncing up and down, practically shining. Sam caught his eye and gave him a thumbs up, the pride in their expression igniting a warmth within him. He took a step back from the mic, the vibrations of his music still buzzing in the air, like a tangible feeling connecting everyone in the room, yet, amidst the joy, there was the quiet figure of Mr. Harris still at the back. The man's face was hard to read, but Jimmy couldn't shake the feeling that this moment was just as crucial for him as it was for any of the students. What was it that kept him so unyielding? Jimmy's heart raced as he navigated through the throng of congratulatory embraces, taking in each smile and each word of encouragement. He found himself lost in the excitement, but that nagging thought tightened at the back of his mind. "Hey! Great job out there!" A voice called. It was Ms. Collins, her eyes sparkling with sincerity, a tear rolling down her cheek. "You really found your voice, Jimmy." "Thanks," he smiled, trying to absorb her warmth. "I just wanted to show them that it's never too late to share who we are." "You did that and more," she assured, squeezing his shoulder. "This is a pivotal moment for all of us." Just then, a commotion erupted near the entrance. A few students laughed excitedly, pointing. Jimmy's gaze followed, and he saw someone entering the auditorium. It was Keisha, a school favorite and noted for her unyielding spirit, though she hadn't been part of this particular journey. She had a knack for lighting up any room she walked into, just by being herself. In that moment, he wondered if she had come to celebrate or simply to see the aftermath of his reveal. "Keisha!" Someone shouted, and she trotted over, arms wide open, ready for hugs. Noticing the crowd's shift, Jimmy stepped back, allowing the students to gravitate toward her. He watched them embrace, their laughter swaying like a melody, filling the space with a thriving warmth. Yet, just as quickly as it began, a shadow flickered over Keisha's face. She pulled back, her smile faltering. "Hey, what's wrong?" Mia asked, sensing the shift. I just wanted to check in on you all." Keisha hesitated, glancing at Jimmy, searching for words. "I wasn't in the show and I didn't know you were singing about something personal. I wish I could been part of that." A hush fell over the group at her words, and it suddenly became a delicate moment. It felt as if the heart of the auditorium held its breath, the jubilant energy stilled as the reality of every person's battle unfolded. Jimmy felt a sharp twist in his chest. He wanted to reassure her, to communicate that sharing was never a solitary journey but a collective one. You are part of this, Keisha," he called out gently, feeling his own vulnerability rising again. "We're all in this together somehow. You bring light to every room, and your voice matters, too." The tension loosened slightly, but Jimmy could see the questioning in her eyes. Was she ready to share? Did she believe it was safe? Caught in that moment, he understood the irony. While he had faced his own fear, there were still whispers of uncertainty sitting with others out there, waiting for their turn to rise up. But before anyone could react further, Mr. Harris finally moved through the crowd, making his way to the stage end. Jimmy felt the energy shift once more. He could sense curiosity mingling with tension. What did the man have to say? Would he add to the uplifting spirit or bring a cloud over this fragile moment? "Jimmy," Mr. Harris called, his voice steady. "I know you've taken a big step here, but there's more to this journey." Jimmy felt a ripple of anticipation as he readied himself for what would come next? Would it be something that empowered or challenged him and his students? The crowd leaned in, the air thick with possibilities. What lay ahead that could alter the course of their newfound bond? This journey, Mr. Harris continued, taking a deep breath as the crowd's eyes locked onto him. It's not just about finding your voice, it's also about recognizing the voices of those around you. We all have stories, burdens, and dreams. He paused, letting his words sink in. Jimmy watched as expressions shifted across the faces in the crowd. Some students leaned in closer, while others exchanged glances, eager yet nervous. Each one of us carries something we might not share, even our closest friends might not know everything we are fighting. Mr. Harris stepped closer to the edge of the stage, his voice steady but low, almost a whisper. But what if we took the risk? What if we opened up, just like Jimmy did tonight? A few murmurs rippled through the crowd. Jimmy's heart raced. He could see it, the flicker of recognition dancing in their eyes. Perhaps they too had stories worth telling. Something deep within him stirred. By sharing our stories, we can create a bond stronger than fear. A bond that supports and uplifts one another. Mr. Harris held his gaze steady, his intensity pulling the audience in deeper. Just remember, it's okay to feel vulnerable. It's okay to ask for help. In that moment, a wave of realization swept over Jimmy. This wasn't just his moment. It was theirs, too. Suddenly, Sam raised his hand. Can I say something? His voice broke through the silence, drawing Mr. Harris's attention. The teacher nodded, encouraging him to continue. Jimmy watched as Sam stepped forward, his shoulders slightly hunched but his eyes bright. What Jimmy did tonight was amazing, but he shouldn't have to do it alone. I have things I haven't said, too. Things that weigh heavy. The crowd whispered among themselves. Sam's vulnerability struck a chord. I think we all do, Mia chimed in, stepping next to him. How about we create a safe space? An open mic where we can share our stories, our music, everything. The suggestion hung in the air, a vibrant thread connecting each student. The excitement began to bubble again, but this time it was mixed with something deeper: camaraderie, compassion, and the promise of healing. Wow, I love that idea! Keisha exclaimed, a newfound spark in her eyes. We could make it a regular thing. Share a song, a poem, whatever it is that speaks to us. Mr. Harris nodded, a rare smile breaking through his usually composed demeanor. That's exactly what I'm talking about. It starts here and it starts now. This can be a platform for you to build something wonderful, a community of artists and friends. As the students began to chatter excitedly, planning the next steps, Jimmy felt a swell of hope. But amidst the joy, he also felt a knot of anxiety. What if no one showed up? What if he had opened a door that led to disappointment? Before he could spiral into those thoughts, Mr. Harris addressed the audience again. Remember, the door is open. It's ours to walk through or leave ajar. The choice is yours. Just as the crowd buzzed with renewed energy, Jimmy spotted Mr. Harris's expression shifting with a moment of uncertainty. I just hope all of you are ready for what comes next. Jimmy's heart raced at the unspoken weight of that sentence. Were they truly prepared to share their personal journeys? And what if someone's story revealed truths that could change everything they thought they knew about one another? He stepped forward, the microphone gently gripped in his hands again. So, who's in? Can we make this space what we need it to be, together? As students began nodding and sharing their own tentative but eager plans, Jimmy felt the buzzing energy shift again. Excitement mingled with an undercurrent of apprehension. The moment felt monumental, yet daunting. Would their choices lead to connection or fracture? And just as the cheerful atmosphere thrummed with possibilities, the auditorium doors swung open, bringing a sudden silence as an unexpected figure stepped inside. Who had just arrived to challenge everything they were building? Everyone turned to the entrance, the energy in the room instantly shifting from excited chatter to an electrifying hush. The figure standing in the doorway was tall, with dark hair that fell in waves to his shoulders. He wore a simple t-shirt and jeans, but there was something about him that commanded attention. His eyes scanned the crowd, landing firmly on Mr. Harris for a brief moment before widening in recognition. "Is this the Vinewood High open mic night?" he called out, his voice resonating with an unexpected warmth that belied his tough exterior. Murmurs rippled through the audience again, and the confusion felt palpable. Jimmy's heart dropped. Would this stranger disrupt the fragile community they had only just begun to form? But there was something in the way he spoke, a sincerity that intrigued him. Demar. Harris stepped off the stage, gesturing for the man to come forward. "Yes. We were just discussing the idea of creating a safe space for everyone to share their stories." The man nodded slowly, taking a few steps forward. "I'm sorry to interrupt, but I felt the energy in this room from outside. I had to see it for myself. My name is Leo." Jimmy's curiosity piqued. Leo's presence seemed to fill the auditorium, wrapping around them like a comforting embrace. "I know what it's like," Leo continued, looking around at the crowd. "To feel like your story is stuck inside you, heavy and unspoken. I've carried my own burdens for too long." He swallowed hard, the tightness in his throat evident. "What do you mean?" Sam asked, taking a bold step forward. "What happened to you?" With a deep breath, Leo looked straight at Sam. "I spent 25 years in silence. I thought no one cared about my story, about the problems I faced. I was a cleaner, moving from place to place, but I never felt like I truly belonged anywhere. Until I found solace in music. A simple song helped me sleep again." The crowd leaned in, captivated. Jimmy could feel the hush of shared anticipation, each student's breath sinking in the quiet. "What song?" someone whispered, their voice barely trailing above a breath. Leo smiled softly, his expression reminiscent of someone recalling a cherished memory. "It was a song about hope, about the light after darkness. It reminded me that I'm worth telling my story, that sharing it could help others too." There were whispers among the students, an understanding forming as they processed Leo's revelation. There was an innate power in his words, a promise that resonated with their own fears and aspirations. "I want you to know that it's okay to feel vulnerable," Leo reiterated, echoing Mr. Harris's earlier sentiments. "This open mic can be your lifeline, just like my song was for me. I encourage you to share, even if it's just a small piece of yourself." Sam looked at Jimmy, his eyes bright with determination. "All right then. Who's ready to break their silence? Who wants to share their story?" With a newfound energy, students began nodding, and one by one, small groups formed, exchanging their own tales. Laughter, tears, and reflections filled the air as they began mapping out their ideas for the open mic night, but Jimmy couldn't shake off the feeling that Leo was more than just a visitor. He felt like a catalyst. As Jimmy watched Leo take a seat in the front row, he noticed a small notebook in his hands, worn and frayed. What secrets did it hold? What could this stranger teach them about their own stories? Just then, the sound of a chair scraping against the floor broke through his thoughts. "Is it safe to share, really?" Lizette, a quiet girl from art class, asked from the back. "What if no one understands?" A heavy silence fell, and Jimmy felt the weight of uncertainty again. Could they really open up? With this many people? Leo caught Jimmy's gaze. His eyes shimmered with understanding, silently urging him to respond. "Maybe," Jimmy began, his voice steadying. "We don't need everyone to understand. Just one. If even one person connects with your piece, it's worth it." As more nods echoed through the crowd, excitement mixed with fear began to swell anew. Leo smiled, a light igniting in his eyes as he leaned forward, captivated by the budding transformation around him. Could this be the beginning of their own journey, a tribe that would confront their shadows together? "Are you with us?" Jimmy called out, sensing the moment hang in the air. Before an answer could come, the unmistakable sound of a clap echoed through the halls, a challenge clearly on its way. "Who's ready to handle the truth?" the voice shouted, prompting the room to turn and reveal another unexpected arrival. What truth would this newcomer bring to their fragile gathering? The sudden clap reverberated in the silence, a jolt that shook the students from their budding connections. They turned to see a girl with flaming red hair and piercing green eyes. She stood with a confidence that seemed at odds with the anxieties hanging in the air. A smirk danced on her lips as if she were ready to provoke a spark. "I'm Mia," she declared, her voice sharp yet playful. "And trust me when I say, I'm not afraid of the truth. I'm here to expose the lies we tell ourselves." The mood shifted, a blend of intrigue and apprehension as the crowd absorbed her boldness. Jimmy felt his heart race. Who was this girl? And why did it feel like she was daring them all to step into the fire? Leo leaned forward, his curiosity mirrored in the faces around him. "What kind of lies?" he asked, his tone serious yet inviting, no doubt wanting to understand where Mia was headed. "Oh, you know," Mia shrugged, rolling her eyes. "The ones that tell us we must be perfect. That our struggles aren't real, or they don't matter. Here's the truth, everyone here is carrying something heavy." She surveyed the crowd, locking eyes with each of them, igniting a challenge through her gaze. Jimmy could feel his own weight pushing down on him, the doubts, the fears, the hidden scars. He clenched his fists, feeling the urge to speak, yet his voice felt trapped. Why should we share when it feels like we're just shouting into the void? Lizette's voice, softer but equally potent, pierced through, her vulnerability clear. "Because the void is where we find each other," Mia countered fiercely. "We're all stuck in our bubbles, but when we open up, we break some windows." The energy in the room crackled with her words. Jimmy felt a stirring inside him. Was it true? Could their openness be the tool that shattered their isolation? Leo's gentle nod prompted Mia to continue. "You're all scared of what others will think, right? But what if you share and find out you're not alone? That someone in this room has walked a similar path?" Suddenly, a boy in the back spoke up, his voice quaking with nervousness. I lost my dad last year. And I didn't talk about it because everyone kept telling me to be strong." He paused, the tears welling up as he confessed. "But being strong felt lonely." "See?" Mia said, her voice now softer, more compassionate. "That's exactly it. Being vulnerable isn't a weakness, it's courage." A ripple of murmurs swept through the crowd. There was something about Mia's raw encouragement that felt liberating. Would sharing bring them closer together, or tear them apart? Jimmy took a deep breath, feeling an urgency push him to share something of his own. "My mom wasn't there for me when I really needed her. I kinda just started masking it," he admitted, his voice trembling. "I thought if I didn't talk about it, it wouldn't hurt as much. But it does." Mia smiled, the intensity in her eyes softening. "See? You're not the only one. We've all got stories that ache to be heard. We're all fighting battles beneath the surface. But together, we rise above." The weight in the room shifted again. Students began to lean in closer to each other, whispers of shared pain filling the air. Laughter intertwined with raw emotion as they opened up little by little. Just then, Leo stood up, clutching his worn notebook tightly. "I may have waited 25 years to find my voice, but I want to let you carry your stories alone. Let's make this open mic not just about sharing, let's make it a celebration of our truth, our healing." The air thickened with gratitude and anticipation. Could they really shape this gathering into something transformative? As excitement built, he felt an undeniable urge to ask, what if someone has something to say that could change all of us forever? His question hung in the air, heavy with possibility. As the room filled with nods and murmurs, a surge of hope electrified him. What connections were waiting to be uncovered? And just as the students began to rise, eager to share and connect, the door flew open again. Another newcomer stepped in, his face obscured in shadow, but carrying the weight of an undeniable presence. "Who's ready to finally hear the truth?" he called, and every heart in the room leaped in unison. What truth would this stranger unveil that could shape their journey further? The sudden presence of the newcomer caused a buzz to sweep through the crowd. Every eye flicked toward the door. Was this another challenge? Another opportunity? As he walked into the light, a mix of curiosity and anxiety washed over everyone. Buzzing like a live wire, the newcomer had an aura about him, a quiet intensity that seemed to draw energy from the very walls of the auditorium. "I'm Evan," he declared, his voice steady and commanding. "And I may not belong here, but I know something about the truth. It can liberate just as much as it can bind you." Murmurs rustled through the audience, and Jimmy felt a sudden surge of inspiration. The room was alive with potential, a rare moment where they could confront their truths together. Evan took a breath and continued, "People think vulnerability is weakness. But I'm here to tell you it's the strongest thing you can do. I've walked through the fire and came out singing. My experiences taught me that every struggle shapes who we are. If we want to break our silence, we have to face our fears, open those closed doors, and let the truth out." "I couldn't agree more," Leo chimed in, his own eagerness mirrored by the others. "It's time. Sharing our stories is how we understand each other, how we rebuild together." Suddenly, the space felt electric. A shared energy danced in the air, a collective heartbeat of anticipation and excitement. Mia, emboldened by the newcomer's words, stepped forward. "There's nothing more powerful than the truth. Let's create a place here, a stage where our stories intertwine." "I'm in!" shouted Sam, raising his hand enthusiastically, and the crowd erupted in cheers. This would not only be an open mic, it was a testament to their shared experiences. Each story could bridge the gaps, wrapping around them like a safety net. As if emboldened by the rising tide of encouragement, Lizette stood up next, passion igniting in her eyes. "I've felt lost for a long time. But hearing why all it helps me see I'm not alone. Let us open our hearts like doors swinging wide." Her sentiment ignited a wave of courage. One after another, students began to stand up, soft voices turning loud as they bravely shared their individual stories, their fears, their dreams. As Jimmy led them, he felt an overwhelming pride wash through him. This was what they had wanted, a space to be truly seen and heard. Then, unexpectedly, the auditorium doors swung wide once more. A large figure filled the entryway, and everyone froze momentarily. It was Mr. Harris, stepping back into the fray, and the emotion in the room shifted from elation to a tension creeping in like dusk. "I've never been one to share much of my own story," he said in a low, steady voice, "but I need to tell you how moved I am by what I've seen here tonight. Your bravery is contagious." As he spoke, all eyes remained glued to him, anxious for what he had to say. "I used to think the rules were enough to be a wall, to hold you each to the standard you should live up to. But what you've shown me tonight is that sometimes, it's about breaking those walls down." He paused, looking each student in the eye, his own vulnerability on display. The once stoic educator had transformed into a mentor bursting with empathy. "Every one of you matter. Your laughter, your pain, your voices, they are not just notes in a school. They're the music of your lives. Let me help you keep this space alive. Let this room be a sanctuary for stories, for connections. If you promise to bring your truth, I can promise to protect this." The room erupted into cheers, a wave of energy and hope washing over them all. Jimmy stood among his students, their hearts and hopes intertwined, triumph coursing through their veins. Together, they decided on their next steps. Naming it Voices Breaking Silence, the initiative was off to a roaring start. A space built for the community, where masks fell away, and truth soared high. They began planning their first open mic night, rallying everyone around the idea of sharing and listening. Each student eagerly volunteered, their enthusiasm infectious, igniting others longing to tell their own truths, their stories finally finding a home. As they enthusiastically talked, Jimmy caught Leo's eye, the man who had entered unexpectedly, yet somehow felt destined to be there. "You were part of this," Jimmy declared. "Thank you for showing us the way." And in that moment, he knew they were all transformed. The doubts? They had diminished. The burdens? They felt lighter with each passing moment. Voices rose together in solidarity, chanting the power of authenticity. Smiles shone through tears, as they realized the most beautiful companion they could carry was each other. As the night deepened and the stories flowed freely, not just in the auditorium but within their hearts, they were no longer just a collection of souls seeking solace. They stood as a community, emboldened to take the next steps, transformed and interconnected, ready to share their songs far beyond the walls of Lincoln High. They had found strength in their truth. They wouldn't just survive, they would thrive, pushing each other toward brighter tomorrows. As the final notes of a heartfelt song filled the air, Jimmy felt a swell of gratitude. Together, they were so much more than just students and a janitor together. They were a force to be reckoned with, and the world was ready for their voices. And now, here's the catch, dear friends. You need to subscribe immediately to our channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that will inspire you even more. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us reach more people who need to feel this hope. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who absolutely need to see this transformation. Your support is what keeps this community alive, so let us make a difference together.